Hey guys, Chicken Maine, Debut.com with a Debut.com surf forecast update. This forecast update effective around 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, September 2nd, 2016. And folks, if you're tuning in for specific storm information on Tropical Storm Hermine, please visit www.hurricane.gov for all official watches and warnings. If official watches and warnings are issued for your area, please heed the advice of all local, county, emergency management officials. Guys, we are primarily a surf and marine forecast entity, but we like to tell people that you don't have to be a surfer to follow our forecast, because during hurricane season, we are basically a tropical weather forecaster, forecasting weather systems that produce surf. But follow along now, because a lot of times these systems that produce surf for us also affects you landlubbers, and we have Tropical Storm Hermine continuing to move towards the mid-Atlantic. But we're going to set you up with this now over the long term, because it looks as if the Atlantic may be going into a very active phase. We posted back on August 18th, over 15 days ago, that we were going to be entering, the Atlantic was going to be entering an active phase. Well, that's here now, and it looks like it's going to turn itself up a notch over the next 10 days or so. We'll show you that in the latest model run here in just a few moments, because the tropical wave that moved off West Africa 4 or 5 days ago, it got gobbled up by the Saharan air layer. Well, it's back now, and the National Hurricane Center now giving a 20% chance of development next 5 days. This is designated as 92L Invest. Again, this moved off the African coast 4 or 5 days ago. It has traveled, and this is what it looks like in today's visible satellite imagery. Now, models are not showing any development from this, but that doesn't mean that we don't continue to watch it. And that is, if you look at the Saharan air layer, you can see how thick it has become. But notice over here at the far left-hand portion of the screen, this is the 60 long line. And just because the Saharan air layer is here doesn't mean there's not spin in the atmosphere. In fact, there's a little bit of spin right here just to the east of 60. That's the upper or mid-level portion of this tropical wave. They did start off together when they left the coast. There's another tropical wave moving off here, and this, just like this one, has a large footprint. Both of these are, and the next two coming are. Now, with the Saharan air layer the way it is, these systems are going to spin their way off to the west, and chances are they won't develop until they have a chance to get past the 60 line. So right now, they're masked under Saharan air layer. But once past 60, they become unmasked. Now, the other thing that this pattern, the way this is set up now, does is you can see that the tropical waves have cleared some air in here. What this does is give the intertropical convergence zone a chance to breathe. And we're seeing some convection now return. Now, what this allows is for the intertropical convergence zone, which is moving from east to west, will allow for an area of low pressure that may be associated with the intertropical convergence zone to get over into the Western Caribbean, or make it all the way over to the Western Gulf, where it will have a chance at development. We'll show you that in the model run in just a few moments, but we want to switch you over to a website update that we posted back on August 18th on our website. Now, this is what we thought was going to happen with what has become Hermine. And if you notice the track in that website update, we said that we were using this track as an idea, that we weren't going to name what hurricane this track came from, because if we did, we'd be accused of hyping. And guys, we don't hype here. We just show you what we see. Mind you, again, now this is 15 days ago. This is the past hurricane track of Hurricane Sandy, and we now have models trying to treat Hermine as if it was a Sandy making a left hook into New England or just south of Long Island. or hugging the coast or being pinned into the coast. It is ironic that we use this image and we now have the outcome. Again, guys, this is 15 days ago, August 18th. This is September 2nd. Guys, we're seeing the same things in the models again, and we're seeing the same thing in the pattern. It's not necessarily what each model run shows. It's recognizing the pattern. Here's the latest look over Africa now, and you can see that here's the tropical wave that's moving off the coast now. This is 92L invest. Here's another large wave that's going to be moving off, and there's probably two more behind it. And again, because of the way that the Saharan air layer is, chances are the upper portion of the tropical wave or spin is going to ingest dry air, but it's going to allow the intertropical convergence zone, or should, come back alive. Let's switch you back over to the latest happening with post-tropical Hermine, or forecast to be post-tropical Hermine, next 48 hours just east or off the coast of the Del Mar Peninsula. Seas increasing excess 20 feet, 20 to 25 feet in northeast winds, 40 to 45 knots. 96-hour forecast showing just an area of low pressure, a low pressure gale, with seas remaining elevated east of the Del Mar Peninsula, 20 to 25 feet. This is the chance for Hermine 2.0 swell, guys. Here's the latest swell forecast out of the NOAA Ocean Prediction Center. And you'll see that there's a lot of north and northwest swell. Puerto Rico, Hispaniola surfers, if you go look at the St. Martin's, PR, and South Bermuda buoy, the back end of the northeast swell from Gaston is now on those buoys. It's only about 4 foot, 13 seconds, but the ocean, or the swell, is moving in your direction. As we talked about in our last update, the differences between GFS and the Euro is the GFS wants to hug ex-Hermine, which, by the way, will be sitting for several days. We could be talking about the remnants of Hermine, or possibly Hermine switching back to tropical in nature in about 4 to 5 days off the mid-Atlantic in here, just under Long Island. Lots of uncertainties at the moment, guys, but it looks like Northeast Florida surfers, you'll probably get japped on this one. Central Florida, South Florida, setting up a decent shot for you. Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, again, setting you up because the Gaston swell is now filtering in and already got the ocean moving it this way. Guys, we're going to show it to you in the 06 GFS model run. I realize the 12Z is out. I just looked at it. I'm not buying it. It's about the same. No sense in showing you the 12Z, and I've already got the 06 loaded up for you. First of all, going back into the fact, or the statement that we made, that the Atlantic going into an extreme phase or a hyperdrive. All right, so here is an area of low pressure that is southeast of Newfoundland, and this is going to go up into the Atlantic and get on the other side of the tip of Greenland as a developing storm. And normally in winter, that would be a hurricane force low, and that's what gives Puerto Rico and the islands their big swell events during winter. The model is showing us at least 2 to 3 more big lows moving in here across Canada and getting up in here to the North Atlantic as storms over the next 2 to 3 days, over the upcoming forecast period. It's odd to see these large low pressure systems in here in the first week of September, at least in our opinion. And then high pressure, as Hermine moves up the coast, high pressure is going to take the place of this and try and pin Hermine up against the coast. Here's the 92L invest down here. And as you can see, the intertropical convergence zone starting to fire up in here now because Sal has been relieved, and then it gives it a chance to breathe. High pressure building in here is going to get some southeast flow going, guys. So we've got a couple of shots at some swell coming up. This is 48 hours. Again, storm developing up here into the North Atlantic that may play into the future or forecast, extended forecast, and post-tropical Hermine off the east coast, east of the Del Mar Peninsula at 72 hours. This is Monday, guys, Labor Day. Hermine locked in place as high pressure starts to work its way into the Atlantic. Here's this developing storm up in here. You can't really see it, but it's a 963 millibar low. That's some low pressure for this time of year up in the North Atlantic. But this high pressure, the idea is that's created in the North Atlantic, some northerly swell. High pressure comes in behind and tries to start shoving it out of the northeast on the backside of Bermuda here. At the same time, you've got northeast ground swell developing along the coast. Now, Florida surfers, I don't want to oversell you on this. There's a difference between the GFS and the Euro. The Euro, if you saw our last update, the Euro has been further out, closer to Bermuda, and the GFS is hugging the coast. If the GF is right, the OBX shadow may prevent any northeast swell of getting down here to Florida. The ideal situation is for the low to be out here, but look at this high pressure. This gives us hope that this gradient, which is going to put a super tight gradient in here to New England surfers in here, strong onshore flow developing, pinch the gradient as this tries to move up, jump you out to 96 hours, guys. This is just 4 days, and we know that the models are fairly accurate within 4 days. Look at this high pressure now. That's east winds, 15 to 20 knots, aimed in here with tropical features starting to move out of the intertropical convergence zone, starting to set up some east-southeast flow. This is for 120. This is 5 days, guys. And look, remnant Hermine, still off the northeast coast, high pressure locked in place, and now we start to increase east-southeast fetching here between this high all the way down in here towards the Virgin Islands. At 144, this is day 6. Still here, dealing with a gale off the northeast coast. Day 7, still here, and then here comes this other developing storm south of Greenland. Day 8, this is September 10th, and finally the remnants of Hermine are going to be moving off out towards the North Atlantic. That's 8 days, guys, that we could be talking about Hermine. Today's September 2nd. Images for September 10th. That's 8 days. But again, especially Jesper, you guys down here at Surf Camp Nagor, West Africa, that's a second system with some strong northwest swell. This is early signs of winter coming, guys. Surf Camp Nagor, West African coast. Take you out to day 9, day 10, and look over here in the Gulf of Mexico. We just talked about how areas of low pressure can ride in the intertropical convergence zone, get caught in that easterly trade, and then get over here in the Caribbean or the western Gulf of Mexico. This is 11 days out, guys. Okay? And we're not going to take it any further than there, but I also want you to take note of what you see east of the islands. Another area of low pressure down here in the intertropical convergence zone. And Hermine in here, bumping up against East Atlantic high pressure, locked with North Atlantic high pressure with no place to go. That's all we got for you for now, guys. Stay tuned for the next update.